First and foremost, ladies and gentlemen, the the president of Ghana is in the building, right? And so he was in Parliament today. I have not listened to anything as yet, but we are going to listen to Unfiltered with Peta-Gaye Ferguson. We got Peta-Gaye Ferguson, and then we go to Miss Nana Scott Martin. See?
Welcome, Jamaica. Welcome back to Unfiltered. I'm Peta-Gaye Ferguson. It's time for another edition of Gaslighter. And your Gaslighter of the week is drum rolls. Yes. The government of Jamaica. I know, no surprises here. Because while they keep you
Drum roll, the government of Jamaica, the gaslighters. Man, shout out to yo, that's funny. That's funny. That's funny. That is funny. Hey, shout out to Peta-Gaye. Peta-Gaye, first of all, sister, you are glowing. Alright? Continue to do what you're doing. Alright, big up yourself. Second of all, yo, you came with the jokes, you came with the smoke all in one. Talk about unfiltered. Drum roll, please. The government. Gaslighter of the week. Let's continue.
Your Gaslighter of the week is drum rolls. Yes. The government of Jamaica. I know, no surprises here. Because while they keep you distracted, here's what's really happening. It has been 9 months since Hurricane Melissa devastated communities across Jamaica. 9 months since families lost their homes. 9 months since small business owners saw years of hard work washed away. 9 months since communities were promised they would build back stronger. What's the impediment to the build back stronger recovery effort, one might ask? Let's just talk straight and address the elephant in the room. Corruption. Yeah, Jamaica have a serious corruption problem, right? So, today, too many
emotional damage.
You know, I understand the position that she's in. She can't really expose, but to paint, to put it into one word, ladies and gentlemen, is corruption. All of the problems that the country is facing right now, why things are not running better, why, systems that are put in place to help the people aren't moving as swiftly as it should, corruption. Without being liable enough to call anybody name, the entire government of Jamaica is liable where this is concerned. From Andrew let's go straight down. Whether they did not do their job properly, right, and did not supervise, right, and allowed other people to steal and all of these things, whatever the case might be, the government is to be blamed. The government is the reason why the things are how they are. And it's not moving faster. That's a fact.
Jamaicans are still waiting for proper roof over their heads, waiting for assistance, waiting for communities to be rebuilt, waiting for the urgency they were promised. This is the thing. Whenever someone dares to point that out, they're immediately labeled anti-government, anti-progress, or simply bad mind.
Or them a PMP. And people really go up on the internet and really like echo this foolishness now. Yeah, man. When you see the nonsense what go on and how the government have failed, if you promise me that you're gonna give me a certain standard and you fail miserably with that promise, it's nobody else to be blamed but yourself. Talking about Oh, you're bad mind what? Like,
But let me ask you, how can it be bad mind to ask why families are still waiting? How can it be bad mind to ask where the urgency went? How can it be bad mind to demand accountability for public money and donor support? Listen to me. Put politics aside for a second and think about the actual people who were affected. These people are citizens of Jamaica before you can consider them PNP, JLP, or no P at all. What really is the priority of the government?
that part. That part. Nobody can escape that logic. The people of the country is Jamaicans before anything else. So when you become the government, you are responsible for all Jamaicans, not the ones them that voted for you. And that's what people need to understand. And true patriots of the country, persons that love this country, whether you're in the media, whether you're in the government, if you are not echoing that as a fact and you're not holding the government accountable, you are liable. You are guilty as anybody else. If you are there sitting and standing by, or standing, watching things go by, and you don't want to shake things up per se, right? You don't ever end the live because the phone now moves, right? End the live. I'm going to delete that live then. Let us keep it one on this alone. My phone now move right now. I'll stop using that phone. Don't have too much problem with it. But yeah, people, they are Jamaicans first. They are Jamaicans first, ladies and gentlemen. So the government cannot, they have to take responsibility for all the good things that happen under their tenure, and they also have to take responsibility for all the bad things that happen under their tenure. Period. We don't want enough foolishness.
No, I need enough to help me understand this. It was apparently urgent enough to bypass the Procurement Act to acquire 200 Starlink devices.
What can go so embarrassing? He needs some milk.
Why, Daryl Voss? You take some straight shot, brother. Boy, Daryl Voss, you already know you're gonna get this smoke. You already know you're gonna get this work, bro. Right? It was prudent for the government to buy extra Starlink. Some of them that couldn't even be used in Jamaica because they bought the wrong one with the wrong ones that didn't have the right accessories, ladies and gentlemen, for them to be functional. Yeah, that's what they did.
No, I need enough to help me understand this. It was apparently urgent enough to bypass the Procurement Act to acquire 200 Starlink devices, even though 700 Starlink devices had already been donated. So what I mean for tell me, say, there wasn't enough urgency to rebuild homes. There wasn't enough urgency to repair schools. There wasn't enough urgency to help struggling small businesses. There wasn't enough urgency to restore the communities Hurricane Melissa ravaged. So what exactly was the emergency? The people suffering or the procurement? Then we move on to the support.
What a question, man. It was more important to the government to buy Starlinks. I just want that to set, I want that to sizzle in your spirit. Talking about priority, ladies and gentlemen. When you're running a country, when you're running a business, when you're working for somebody, which these individuals are, they're working for us, the people of Jamaica, you have to do what is best for the people. They had Starlinks already, you know. And remember, when they did the audit, some of the Starlinks were not being used, ladies and gentlemen. Do you guys remember the audit? You don't have to go back. This moment like this, I wish I didn't have it on the click audit of the, you know, let me look, guys. Let me look. Got him. I found it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get to the article, right? Voss flag for breaching procurement guidelines in purchase for Starlink devices. Let's read.
Latest news. February. Auditor General Pamela Monroe Ellis has flagged Minister of Energy, Transport and Telecommunications Daryl Voss for breaching government's procurement guidelines when he authorized the purchase of 200 Starlink devices in the amount of $12.12 million. The devices were purchased for use in the parishes that were most impacted by Hurricane Melissa last October and where communication had been severely disrupted. The Auditor General's findings are contained in an audit report which was tabled in the House of Representatives on Tuesday. It is titled Hurricane Melissa Relief Initiative Audit. It looked at issues relating to governance, procurement activities, and the receipt and distribution of Starlink devices. The real-time audit found that the procurement of the Starlink devices was initiated by way of a ministerial instruction from Voss, and not by the Director General of the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, ODPEM. This was done in contravention of the Public Procurement Act 2015. The Act assigns direct responsibility for all procurement activities to the head of the procuring entity. Our review of correspondences revealed that the procurement activity was initiated by a letter from the Minister of Energy, Transport and Telecommunications in his capacity as the co-chair of the Relief and Recovery Oversight Committee on November 13, 2025, to the attention of the Director General for payment to be made by ODPEM for the 200 devices to supplier number 1, the report said. The Auditor General stressed that only the head of the entity is legally empowered to initiate procurement and there is no provision under the Public Procurement Act that allows the minister to approve or rescind posts by taboo or initiate commitments to select suppliers or vendors, or to give any directive to ODPEM as to which supplier to pay. According to the report, Starlink devices were delivered to the Office of the Commissioner of Police on November 14, 2025. However, ODPEM began preparing the required procurement documentation on November 19, 2025, 5 days subsequent to delivery.
So one, when named Daryl Voss in this instance, right? He initiated the procurement. The Starlinks were delivered November 14, 2025. And ODPEM began preparing the required documents, the required procurement documents on November 19, 2025. 5 days subsequently to delivery. So the goods were delivered. So basically, Daryl Voss shoved down the thing them. And me say fi do it. Unauthorized, right? And it get worse. It get worse after this. We just try to show no. And Daryl Voss never apologized for this. He didn't even acknowledge that he did something illegal. These are the people we're dealing with.
Delivery by Tabula. Our review determined that 120 devices were distributed among 17 entities. Of these, 13 entities confirmed receipt of a total of 86 devices. Physical inspections conducted at 8 entities revealed all 41 issued devices remained unused and in storage, said the report. While a single supplier was contracted, the Auditor General said the relevant documentation showed no rationale for the selection of the supplier. The sequence of events, particularly the receipt of the devices prior to the initiation and approval of procurement records, indicates that the procurement process did not comply with established requirements and resulted in the circumvention of key controls intended to ensure transparency, competitiveness, and value for money, the report said.
So, transparency, competitiveness, and value for money was thrown through the window, ladies and gentlemen, according to the report. There was 120 devices. 17 was they were distributed among 17 entities. 13 of the entities confirmed receipt of total of 86. Physical inspection conducted at 8 entities revealed all 41 issued devices remain unused and in storage. So this is what Peta-Gaye is talking about. I mean, I show the context. So then by the Starlink, them up them down while people needed help and wasn't getting help. While people still need help and did not get any help. 9 months after the storm, ladies and gentlemen. We cannot make this up. We can't. We can't make this up.
Said. It said ODPEM was unable to provide evidence regarding the condition of the Starlink devices, including details of the devices in its inventory, records, or information on the distribution and monitoring of these assets. The Auditor General explained that the objective of the real-time audit was to assess whether the activities relating to the Hurricane Melissa Relief Initiative were conducted with due regard for transparency and accountability. Specifically, the series of audits seek to determine whether internal controls were adequate to prevent fraud, waste, and abuse of public resources during disaster response and recovery, by assessing whether appropriate IT controls exist over the supportjamaica.gov.jm website, or all donations, including funds and benefits in kind, have been accounted for in keeping with the relevant Government of Jamaica guidelines, and procurement activities complied with the applicable laws, regulations, and guidelines.
I want to really chop that. I want to really thank her, the Auditor General. Sincerely, and her team. She has a big team. I want to thank each and every one of you, brothers and sisters, for the work that you're doing. This real-time audit that they did, it told us a lot. All those audits that they did, it told us a lot about the government. Listen, this government is not interested in transparency and accountability. They don't care. They really wish that there wasn't anybody. Odin, what's up, my darling? They really wish that there wasn't anybody like watching what they were doing. They wish that they could just do whatever they want and nobody questions them. They have a dictatorial tendency about them. And it's the truth. It's the truth, ladies and gentlemen. Let's continue. Big up Peta-Gaye, I do it.
To rebuild homes. There wasn't enough urgency to repair schools. There wasn't enough urgency to help struggling small businesses. There wasn't enough urgency to restore the communities Hurricane Melissa ravaged.
Urgency. The urgency was to buy these Starlinks and literally put down most of them in storage. And again, there was some of them that was bought that couldn't be used because they came with the wrong accessories. Couldn't plug in our Jamaica. Sad.
So what exactly was the emergency? The people suffering or the procurement? Then we move on to the Support Jamaica controversy. ODPEM says Amber never controlled the donor funds. ODPEM says it remained the data controller. Yet, we're also being told governance gaps have been identified and corrective action has been ordered. Remember,
What can go so?
it remained the data controller. Yet, we're also being told governance gaps have been identified and corrective action has been ordered. Remember, this is the same company that controlled the data for Jam COVID, where over 500,000 people's personal data, travel info, medical records, etc. was leaked. But we allowed for people's credit card, banking info addresses, and personal info to be controlled by them. Oh.
I'm dead.
That is funny, honey. That's funny. Oh my God, that is funny.
Yo, when we look on our face right now, is the question was framed so properly. And then the look on our face. Hey, man, listen. This is communication. The same company that had a leak of people's information, right? In COVID, it's the same company, that same entity to develop the website for persons to donate. And I'm saying, bro, this is a pattern. This is a pattern. At what point do you say, all right, you know, say, we not use them no more? At what point do you come, you know, just like, at what point does wisdom, Rose Petal big up, at what point does wisdom become the order of the day, ladies and gentlemen? We cannot continue like this. We cannot continue like this.
Action has been ordered. Remember, this is the same company that controlled the data for Jam COVID, where over 500,000 people's personal data, travel info, medical records, etc. was leaked. But we allowed for people's credit card, banking info addresses, and personal info to be controlled by them. Oh,
something not right, my wisdom warriors. Something is not right. Tell you about them.
And big up the cameraman for this Zoom in. Sir.
Okay. So if everything was handled properly, why was corrective action necessary? If governance arrangements were sound, why did they need correcting? If everything was above board, why did it take public scrutiny for these issues to come to light?
You know, there's an art in asking the right questions. This is brilliant. And this saves you from the threat of being sued. Ask the right questions and get people to think. I want you to listen to that again. If everything was above board, why these things?
But we allowed for people's credit card, banking info addresses, and personal info to be controlled by them. Oh, okay. So if everything was handled properly, why was corrective action necessary? If governance arrangements were sound, why did they need correcting? If everything was above board, why did it take public scrutiny for these issues to come to light? And here's another question. How many controversies, how many procurement questions, how many governance issues before the government ask whether Jamaica's own technology sector deserves a chance? Because are we seriously expected to believe that a country producing world-class software developers, engineers, cybersecurity professionals, and digital entrepreneurs has no one capable of delivering national technology projects?
What can go so?
You know, that's even worse. No, that's even worse. Because they claim that this website, you know, was given to us for free. But you know that somehow the company made a lot of money. I think it's a 3 million US. Somehow they make a lot of money, I believe. I'm not mistaken. As a matter of fact, let me Google it. Let me Google it. Let me Google it. Anyway, I don't find it, ladies and gentlemen. It said that Amber Group don't make no money. They make $0. It was free of charge to develop the website. Let's continue. But the bad part about this though, that she just pointed out, was that we have developers in Jamaica. Why wasn't the money? Why didn't they make developers in Jamaica develop the website? What, they didn't want to pay them? Why didn't they make developers develop the website and give the government the website total control? No, not a situation where the developer would have access to it. Why they didn't do it that way? Questions, ladies and gentlemen. Ask yourself these questions.
Oh, okay. So if everything was handled properly, why was corrective action necessary? If governance arrangements were sound, why did they need correcting? If everything was above board, why did it take public scrutiny for these issues to come to light?
I'm dead.
And here's another question. How many controversies, how many procurement questions, how many governance issues before the government asks whether Jamaica's own technology sector deserves a chance? Because are we seriously expected to believe that a country producing world-class software developers, engineers, cybersecurity professionals, and digital entrepreneurs has no one capable of delivering national technology projects?
Embarrassing. He needs some milk.
And Holness is a disgrace. And Holness don't rate Jamaican people. And him not rate the poor class now. You know, it's our money, you know. Those same students she's talking about that work well, where students are now professionals in that field. They pay taxes, you know. And they're from here, not somebody from India. You know, this whole thing with this government, I am so happy that it's coming to an end soon. Thus say the Lord. I'm so happy. I am literally. I want to move on, ladies and gentlemen. I really want to move on. I'm very annoyed. I'm sick and tired of these people. Honestly, I really am sick and tired of these people. 100%. 100%.
Or is it simple that the opportunities keep finding the same people? Because we know Jamaica has talent, Jamaica has innovation, Jamaica has expertise. So why does it always seem like the same names? And finally, the Jamaican people donated, the diaspora donated, the international community donated. Not so headlines could be written, not so press conferences could be held. They donated because they believed help would reach the people in need. So 9 months later, where's the urgency? Because urgency shouldn't stop after a contract is signed. Urgency shouldn't stop after a media release. Urgency should end when every Jamaican affected has been given a fair chance to recover. Until then, the questions won't stop. This has been Unfiltered. I'm Peta-Gaye Ferguson. Until next time, take care of yourselves.
I want Peta-Gaye Ferguson, you know. I never told you know. Only for respect to Peta-Gaye Ferguson. Thank you, K girl. Only for respect to Peta-Gaye Ferguson. Continue to do the good work with Unfiltered. And of course, I cannot wait to hear from Queen of the Soul. As goal, big up yourself, my brother. I can't wait to hear from Queen of the Soul regarding this particular one, ladies and gentlemen. And other issues that are here, you know. The communication school of the People's National Party. But Peta-Gaye Ferguson, top tier, baby. Top tier. Let me know what y'all think, man. Let me know what y'all think.